So the second element, you spend 30 minutes in the morning planning. Do not disturb, focused planning. The second is capturing and reviewing your tasks. So
how many of you have woken up like this at 3 o'clock in the morning, wondering about, did the papers get filed? Did I remember to call that client? What about that? I forgot to get started on that project the partner gave me. And the real issue is there's only so much that even the world's strongest mind can keep organized in their head. And imagine that because it's true, that it consumes energy to keep those thoughts in your head. So how is it that you can conserve that mental energy? Because we know the practice of law is hard. Sometimes it's hard dealing with the clients and the people. Sometimes it's substantive things. And if you're working on researching something or designing a strategy for a multi-million-dollar case, your brain can't be consumed with worrying about, did I get to that task, or trying to keep the to-do list in your head. So
and here's
this
what
is
it
some
looks
solution. This
that's
is
what
your
it looks
brain
like.
on overload.
Yeah, cognitive overload, to your point, right? It reduces efficiency, it reduces focus. So here is the thing. It's got to get out of your head onto paper. And this is almost as important as daily planning. I mean, it really is. These are all sort of synthesized, interrelated disciplines that we're talking about, these 8 essential elements. The key notion is get it out of your head. Some of you have heard of David Allen, the Getting Things Done program. We're going to reference his flow chart a little bit later. The key notion is if it's out of your head and it's on paper, you don't have to worry about remembering. It lingers as a vague thought in your head. That robs you of focus and energy.
And the
so
paper,
get it out of your
yes,
head onto paper. Now, how do you do that?
And the paper is not Post-it notes.
Right. Excellent point. We ask people, get rid of your Post-it notes. If you have them on your desk, if you have stickies on your desk, try it. Just get rid of them and ask your assistant to make sure that you don't bring them back. If he or she sees them, to not allow them. So what are the types of to-dos? We're going to talk in the next slide about systems for to-dos. And the heads-up preview is that there isn't one right to-do system. But this we have found to be very helpful. You're swirling around in your brain, what do I got to do? What do I have to do today? What's on the plate? So we suggest that there are 5 categories. Whether you have a separate list for each of these 5, we've seen 3-ring notebooks with sections for each of these 5. Separating out your to-dos according to these categories helps a lot of folks. So the first category is production. That's the legal work that you're responsible for doing. That's client matters that you are doing yourself. The second category is production supervision. It's client work that you're responsible for, but you've handed off to somebody else. You're not doing the work, but you have to make sure that you're following up, that you've closed the loop on something that you're responsible for, but someone else is doing.
So you may have hired, that may be your paralegal or your assistant, but it may also have been an expert that you hired, a report that you're waiting on, a transcript that you need to receive. It's all the things that you need in order to do the actual production. Or it might be, if you're managing a practice group, it might be the production of all the lawyers in your group.
And the specific test, I have to get to that person to do this. It's not work you're doing yourself, it's supervision of production. The third bucket or category of to-dos have to do with client development and marketing and all of the activities around client satisfaction. Well, it's not actual legal work, but I have to follow up and get back to this person. That's a client development kind of activity. And there's a whole bevy of thoughts in your head about that. That if they wind up, listen, it's better if they wind up on a master list than still in your head. So that's progress if it's in a list. But thinking through these categories is real important. And the fourth category is administration. It's not legal work that you're doing or supervising. It's not client development marketing work, but it's bills, right? It's attending to meetings. It is technology integration. It's all of the other things that you have to do on a regular basis that you're swirling around saying, I got to take care of that, I got to take care of that. Again, get it out of your head onto paper, do it in 5 sections, 5 categories, 5 separate pads, whatever it is. Separating them out then allows you to more effectively select from them, which we'll talk about in the next slide. And then the 5th category, you also have personal things that you got to deal with. And if you know that there's something, obviously as the generations, as we age, more of us are dealing with both kids and parents. We're taking care of parents. So life intrudes, and there are personal to-dos in your head. Get them out on paper.
And just a couple of things, Bill. The personal, is also your personal development and growth as a lawyer, working on your own practice. And the client development itself, each one of these could be broken down into more categories, but we want you to start with the 5 basics, because client development is also about where do you find your client, how do you develop people into new clients, as well as the care and feeding of the ones that you have.
Get it out of your head onto paper is the key thing. So where are your to-dos? If you need to sticky note, if you need to, safety pin a sticky note to your hand, then that's really kind of problematic, right? So where are they? Well, some people use Outlook tasks. Again, there's no one right system. Whatever your practice management platform is, Elite, from Elite to ProLaw to whatever you're using, there are generally task functions in these. Learn them and use them. What an incredibly important investment of time. We have clients who still use 3-ring binders, and they keep that with them, and they know where it is on their desk. It doesn't get lost. They say, if it's something I got to do, I'm putting it in there, and they've developed that discipline. There are online tools such as Todalist, and these are todalist.com, or believe it or not, it's a funny name, but rememberthemilk.com is an online multi-platform tool that syncs up with all mobile devices that allows you just to effectively, easily create lists, sub-lists, check them off when they're done. The point, again, is get them out of your head. Remember, there's no one best system.
Now, one of the things to make sure you have is sometimes you're in the middle of something and you need to capture a stray idea, and you just need to get it out of your head so you can move on to the next thing. It's perfectly fine to have a non-categorized inbox page or inbox place where you're just capturing the ideas, as long as you cycle back as part of your daily planning to then put them in categories and prioritize. I'm a Mac user, and I use something called Things, which has a folder that's inbox. And it's just, if something comes up, I'm just putting it into inbox. I'm not putting categories, I'm not putting tags until I go back and go through that process at the end of the day.
There's, to capture quick thoughts, a cool little free app if you're using an Android phone called Vocanote. It basically is one touch on your phone. It's got terrific voice recognition, and you don't even have to press the button again, and it automatically sends a transcription of your of what you spoke to an email of your choosing, meaning your own email address. And then back in the office, you can create a Vocanote subfolder in your inbox, and when you're on the road, you want to remember something quick, it's one touch, and within 30 seconds, there's an email in your mailbox, in your inbox. For Mac, there's for the iPhone, there's a version called Say It and Mail It, which is same thing. It's inexpensive or free as an app. One touch, emails to the address of your choice.
What you're probably sensing, and if you're not, I'll just say it, is that we're talking about really developing and following your routines. If you use the note-taking thing on your BlackBerry, and it stays in your BlackBerry, and you don't have a routine to go and listen to the note, then it wasn't effective for you to have that note. If you're keeping Post-it notes all over the place, but you don't have a system to go and organize them and put them in a place, it won't work. So anything you're doing has to be consistent and something you'll use. And one of the things about no one best system is over time, Bill, you may wind up changing systems. Right. You may say, I've tried Outlook tasks, and it takes me too much time. You have to find whatever system it is that you will use consistently.